One U.S. senator has found the ultimate getaway from Washington politics. We're talking about Senator Jeff Flake of Arizona. He took his two youngest sons on a survivalist adventure over the Memorial Day weekend, and now they're sharing their really amazing videos. You may remember Senator Flake tested his survival skills on a deserted island nearly 4 years ago, but then he did it solo. Brian Todd is here. He's got some of these pictures to share with our viewers. Brian.
I will, Wolf. You know, he's told us that after that last trip 4 years ago, he was determined to share the experience with his kids. Senator Flake has just returned from that survivalist trip with his youngest sons, and he spoke to us about the adventure.
They speared crabs in the surf, spearfished off breathtaking reefs, subsisted on what they caught, plus coconuts, for 4 days. They marooned themselves on a deserted Pacific island and lived to make a most excellent video out of it, complete with a music track from Imagine Dragons.
I take it in, but don't look down. I'm on top of the world.
This isn't Survivor, and while this guy may look like Matthew McConaughey, this isn't Hollywood's latest summer blockbuster either. This is Jeff Flake, Republican senator from Arizona, on a survivalist trip last week with his two youngest sons, 15-year-old Tanner and 13-year-old Dallin.
What is the inspiration for this?
Well, 4 years ago, I took a similar trip about 20 miles from here, just a different island, and stayed for 7 days and 7 nights. My first thought after getting off that island was, where's a cheeseburger? And then the next thought was, this would be a lot more fun with my kids.
Just getting there was ambitious. From Phoenix to Hawaii to Kwajalein Atoll to the tiny 1,000-foot wide island of Bigoren, it was 10,400 miles round trip. What'd they bring with them?
We brought no food and no water, but we brought some desalinator pumps to pump seawater.
Plus a lobster trap that was lost to a shark. One of those apex predators also provided the Flakes with their most dramatic moment.
I speared a grouper, quite a big one, and it wriggled the spear out of my hand, and I had to dive down about 20 feet to retrieve the spear with the fish on the end of it. And by that time, 4 sharks had closed in on the fish. And we were about 50 yards out, but we didn't want to lose our meal, so we grabbed the spear, and Dallin and I hightailed it for shore, and with the sharks in pursuit.
They made it back safely. Sleeping under the palms and stars in hammocks might seem to most of us like the best part. Nope.
The best part was actually every night we had to pump water for about an hour, and both boys would sit down with a pump in their hand, and the lead would be put in the ocean, and we'd just watch the sunset. And there were no cell phones, obviously, no texting, no distraction.
Flake and his wife have 5 children. The 2 oldest are married, the middle one's in college. During the last campaign cycle, Flake wasn't around much and promised this trip to his 2 youngest boys.
What does your wife think of all of this, and is this going to be a Flake family tradition from now on?
You know, she was obviously worried at the dangers, but she valued the time that I would be able to spend with the boys more than the risks there. And so she was a good sport about it. She says, I'll go back to that island when there's a hotel on it.
In fact, Senator Flake says the last time he did this 4 years ago, he got some very good advice from his wife. She suggested he keep a journal and share it with the media to quell any skepticism about the trip. That's because that came just around the time that then South Carolina Governor Mark Sanford was caught lying about a supposed hiking trip on the Appalachian Trail when Sanford was really in Argentina with his girlfriend. Wolf, Mr. Senator and Mrs. Flake, or Congressman and Mrs. Flake at that time, didn't want any such rumors swirling about his survivalist trip to the Pacific.
Good point. He also tells a pretty amazing story about how aggressive the sharks were.
Unbelievable. Those sharks that pursued them to shore with their fish. He said they kind of took shelter in a tidal pool, and his son got the fish into a tidal pool. They were protected from the sharks by a rock formation, but he said the sharks actually physically came up on the rock formation, rested their heads there, looking at them, looking at the fish. They were that aggressive. And you've heard stories like that in the Pacific where sharks are very aggressive. Pretty good story for the kids to tell, I guess.
I'll wait till there's a hotel myself. Yeah. Brian, thanks very much for that report. Let's take a quick look at some of the other top stories in the Situation Room. Right now, the U.S. is sending a Patriot missile battery, F-16 fighter jets, and about 200 military planners to Jordan. The equipment is for a military exercise, but given concern over Syria's civil war, there's still a chance it will stay longer. The military planners will work with the Jordanians to develop a response to a humanitarian crisis or use of chemical weapons in neighboring Syria. Meanwhile, new executive orders from President Obama targeting any global financial institutions that help Iran with its currency transactions or people who do business with its auto sector. It's the latest U.S. attempt to isolate Iran in order to stop the Iranians from building nuclear weapons. Just in time for summer vacation, the Walt Disney amusement parks raised daily admission prices over the weekend. Disney World in Florida now costs $95 for adults, $89 for children. California's Disneyland is slightly less, $92 for adults, $86 for children. With meals and souvenirs, a day at Disney can cost a family of four around $500. A picture going viral on the web is giving Taco Bell officials a case of indigestion. The company's just issued a statement promising, and I'm quoting now, swift action against those involved. The statement also says Taco Bell believes the photo is a prank and the food was not served to any customers. In a minute, Jeannie Mose has the story of a fast-thinking percussionist who had a little problem.